Okay, I'm going to give a try at giving just a real basics about using some of the tools of painting, oil painting. I use medium. I'll show you how. And that is like 1 part boiled linseed oil and about 3-4 parts, at least 4 parts of mineral spirits, odorless mineral spirits. You can get these from an art store, and this would be highly refined linseed oil, and this would probably be called something similar to that. And I pour them into this bottle. And when I'm mixing my paints, I really, most of the time, I only mix it with the white. Let me check my little video and see. Check my phone there and see if you can see this part of the palette before I go on any farther. Oh yeah, okay. So this is the style of palette knife that I use for mixing my paints. Now, my dad liked a bigger one. He'd make really big piles of paint, which is really good if you're painting really big paintings and you want to get them done quickly. Anyway, so I just mix it in really well. And normally I put the pile of white paint right down here in the bottom left corner of my palette. And I'll just begin a demonstration for you. And I put my colors on in rainbow order. And I use, this one is Winsor Yellow. I used to use cadmium, but I decided that maybe that wasn't a good idea because cadmium's like mercury or lead or something. You know, it's not good for you. Well, like lead. And this is cadmium orange because I can't find any other orange quite like it. You can mix your own orange, but this is just a certain color of orange. Now, I use 2 reds. When I'm doing a landscape or a seascape, something with a sky, usually I'll use the alizarin crimson. Really intense color, shade of red, and it's just leans a little toward purplish red. And then if I'm painting portraits, I'll use Winsor Red. And it is pretty much a primary red, like I use a primary yellow. But it just seems to lean a little bit toward orange and not make the brilliant purples that you can get with the alizarin crimson, but it makes really nice skin tones. And it is an opaque color. You see all of these here, they're light. You can tell what color they are in the file. But the transparent colors of oil like alizarin crimson or this is phthalo blue, and it's very transparent and it's very intense blue, very strong color, and but it is just a little toward the turquoisey color shade. And the ultramarine blue is also a nice transparent color. And it's more of a primary blue, but it leans just a little toward purple. And so the colors come up a little different. Okay, now I'm going to rinse my brush. This is the mineral spirits that not my brush, my palette knife. that I use in my medium. I also use it for keeping my brush or palette knife clean. And then later I wash them with it. Oh, and my last color that I use is burnt sienna. It's kind of an opaque color. You can see pretty much what color it is. It's sort of a reddish brown. So when I mix my colors, this is just the layout I like to use, and I know where they are. One of the biggest advantages of oil paint is that you can mix the colors and then you can just use them all day. So yellow, you can see just a little bit makes pretty strong, intense color. So to get the average yellow that I'll be using in mine, I just take just a little bit of this and mix it into the pile of white. And actually I should be making bigger piles here because I'm going to be painting today. So let me, all right, this is not just a demo. I'm gonna be using these. Okay, so there, you can definitely tell it's yellow, but it's very light. And then I have a pile that is, it looks like it's white, but it's not, it's yellow. And it's just a little different from using white. It gives life and sort of continuity and a feeling of atmosphere to your paintings. I rarely use straight white. So, okay, I do the same thing with the orange, and so on. So, and you can imagine how I do that. So, actually, I'm going to be using some pretty brilliant orange today. So, make sure I get some nice and strong. And then, now, I mix these colors pretty well. You can, and just leave it only partly mixed, and then paint with it like that. And the eye will mix the color, and it gives it kind of a very natural feel. But anyway, okay, so to make my basic colors that I use, which would be, well, to make black, I mix the burnt sienna with ultramarine blue. So I'm going to mix a brownish black. I made a beautiful color of brown. I wonder if I'm gonna, I don't think I'll be using that color today, so I'll just keep adding more blue until I get about, and obviously need a lot more ultramarine up there. So you can see here we've got sort of a grayish, greenish, brownish color. Okay, now here we have a warm brownish black, and to find out exactly what color it is, we mix in a little bit of white, and you can see, so we have a warm brownish gray. Now, just for demonstration. I will show you. I would have made this a much bigger pile. Okay, and then I'll usually make like 3 piles like I did of these. And so if I want to make it more black, I'll take some of this, add some more ultramarine blue, and we'll try to make this a real neutral black. It's neither warm nor cool, neither brownish nor bluish. Just a little bit more. And then usually I'll separate a part of my white to be dipping into so that I can, okay, now here this looks pretty neutral. There's only one way to find out whether it's really neutral or kind of a warm. We're gonna go and make another pile. And like I said, usually these are pretty big because I'm gonna be working with them. Add more ultramarine blue. We're kind of gonna try to make just sort of a bluish black. And this one actually is beginning to look more neutral. And that one is still a warm color. So now let's see if we can get a real bluish black. Like I said, I would usually be working with bigger piles of paint. So okay, that one looks pretty definitely bluish. And there we have a blue-gray. Okay, and then I have all of these different shades to work with. I'll just show you my skin tones real quick. I like to use a, well, I'll start with burnt sienna, put it down here, and a little bit of ultramarine blue. And then I add a little bit of this red. It's a opaque red. It makes a nice, and it's doesn't have any purplish look to it. So this first pile looking and you can make lots of levels of light, get exact shading of what you want. That's the thing about oils, is control. And let's see, and as you see, different amounts of these 3 colors, the ultramarine blue, the burnt sienna, and the Winsor red, will make different shades for my skin tones. Usually I work out of the one color and then I add a little of whichever color I think I need. And when you spread it out on the palette, this, by the way, these are my paper palettes. Because I paint large paintings, I use and 18 by 24 size palette. Usually 1620 is a normal size for working on. So have I don't know what you would call these different shades, but see they're the small differences, and but they're different. And let me just take some more of this, and I'm just going to add more of the red to make it a more rosy pink shade, and you can see what that looks like. So these are the directions I go. I never use black. I used to use black, but my shading on the skin would sometimes look like bruises, and I don't have any problem with that if I use the colors in this way. And I use these colors here, just the actually it's cadmium orange, for the highlights on the skin. But let's see if I can mix up a color that looks like cadmium orange. Actually, that's pretty close. So you don't need cadmium orange. You just can add the yellow to the Winsor red, and then you can make your colors for the highlights. Guess I added too much yellow, so it doesn't have that pinkish feel, which is kind of color I use. Orange. Okay, so there you go. It's your first lesson in mixing paint. If you want me to tell you how to make my greens, I will let you know. I'm going to be working on a painting here of some shrimp boats. Sketch is done in pencil and in acrylic, mixed with gesso, and it's an old photo that it's not the best quality, but I just need it for reference. I actually projected this because it's a large complex painting and it would take me a long time to do this by hand. But I think that if I had not felt the need to produce a lot of paintings for doing art shows to raise 5 kids, that I would probably, I think this is upside down. I hope you guys know how to flip it over. Anyway, I think I'd be a much better artist with all of the years of sketching. My first boats and people that I did freehand, and they sold really well. It wasn't a problem, it just took a long time. So I don't really recommend a beginner artist projecting unless they just need to paint a lot of paintings to make a living. Then go for it. Okay, bye.